All right, it looks like we are live. I'm going to give a minute for my computer to catch up and agree with me, which is always helpful. Let's see, there we are. All right, hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. For me, it's morning, kind of that late morning time, but happy to see you all here. Let's see, I'm going to fix my screen a little bit here so I can see everything and see the comments. Check in what everyone has to say so far. Let me see. And there we are. I see Leah is in the chat. Sorry, I'm a little slow. There were a bunch of comments to start today. Usually those roll in a little bit slower. So it took me a minute to read all those and catch up. But good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. It looks like everyone's finding their way in here okay. Okay. You ever have just those loose hairs that kind of tickle and you can't figure out where they're coming from? Keep going. It's not a spider. It's not a spider. Not like spiders. So it would be really bad if it was a spider. All right, well, it is a rainy, dreary day in Washington, but we're gonna bring some fun color and some florals and play with those new inks a little bit. I know last week Leah kind of mixed the new inks with a little bit of some of the older, and I'm gonna pull in a few of the older. I'm kind of excited to start kind of seeing how they play together. I have a combo that I'm kind of excited about, mainly for the leaves. The florals are gonna be a little more focused on the new colors, but we're using actually a previously released set. I don't remember exactly where it released, but I never actually had a chance to use it for whatever reason. I think it just sold out so quick before I had a chance to try it. So I'm kind of excited to break that one up. It's called, or break it out, not up. Magnolia Pattern is what that one is called. So, all right, since it looks like people are finding their way in, I'm going to go over just a couple of the usual things that we always do. Was that Katrina said, figure it's cat hair. Well, I don't have a cat, so that would be equally, maybe not as concerning as a spider, but it would still be like, where did that come from? All right, so first things first, we always give away a $15 gift card on these lives. The way that you get to enter for that is just what everyone's busy doing today. There's only 40 people here and our chat is just hopping already. So good job, everybody. So all those comments in the chat count as an entry for that $15 gift card. The other way you can enter for that is by sharing this video. There's a share button. It's in different places depending on what device you're on. But if you grab that link and you can share it on your own social media, share it through email or text to a friend that you want to come watch along with you, or in a crafty group or something like that, as long as you know it's allowed with the rules. Some of them don't want links from somewhere external, so just make sure that's okay before you do that. Then the only way we know you did that is if you leave us another comment letting us know that you did. So hop back over here and leave another comment. All right, the name behind Pinkfresh Studio, when you see the Pinkfresh Studio name, that is my partner in crime, Leah Lawson. She is catching all the comments that, judging by how fast the chat is moving already today, I have a feeling I will miss a lot of those. So she does a great job of catching any that I miss. So feel free to kind of refer to her if there's any questions you have that I don't happen to see. And then we also really appreciate if you hit that thumbs up and like button. If you're enjoying, that helps more people find us now while we're live, but also on the replay so that they can come join us live maybe another time. One final thing, two final things I'm going to say. If you are new here and this is your first time joining us, please let us know in the chat. I'm going to say a big hello now to anyone who's new or joining us for the first time. But we do like to welcome you. And if Leah or I miss it, everyone else in the group loves to welcome a new friend and crafter that's joining us for these lives. And then finally, everything I'm using today, except there is, towards the end, one teensy tiny sneak peek of our October release. So that's not linked in there. So there's your little hint of what's coming. And we'll get to that at the very end. But everything else I'm using today is all linked in the video description. So if you're wondering, it's all released. It's just previously released items, so you can find them. So if there's anything that you're like, wait, what ink color, what stamp set, what die is she using, you can refer to that list at the bottom and find all that information. So, all right, on that note, I'm going to take another sip of my tea and get the camera turned around, and we'll go ahead and get started. All right, we've got the camera around, and I've gulped down a little bit of my tea there. Sorry, Donna, I know, I feel like it's kind of part of my job. But it's like the bait to make sure you hang around and stay to the end, right? Go with that theory. Okay, so what I'm going to use today is this Magnolia Pattern background stamp. It's a beautiful background set that's, as you can see on here, it's designed to only partially color the image in, so you get that fun, sketchy, neat looking background. And then of course the layering stencils to go along with that, which it looks like there's quite a few of those. So we're going to start by, as soon as I can get a hold of my Misty there, of course, start by stamping. And I'm going to heat emboss the image this time. I debated between going with the black and doing the double stamping, but I decided that it would be kind of fun to do it in gold heat embossing. Sorry, Leah. I think I even debated on it the week before, but I'd already kind of committed to something else. So I tried to kind of stick with what I had from that other week. All right, and I just remembered here, borrowed one of my magnets for this Misty, in my mini Misty. So let me pull that out. I'll have two to make sure I really hold this in place nice and stable at top and bottom. All right, with how wide, this is a big 6x6 set here. So my plan is to make a mini slimline card, and I'm actually debating on making two, because by the time I trim it in half, I'll probably have a pretty perfect panel. That was fun to say. I didn't even think about it till it came out. It's going to be perfect for a double mini slimline. I don't know if I'll finish them both live, but I'll have plenty of stuff for it. Let's see, Stephanie has the stamp. Deb Shorter, any word background stamps? I know we have in the past. I don't think we currently do. There's some conversation going on about tea and coffee and stuff. For what it's worth, I love the smell of coffee, can't stand the taste. So I'm a tea drinker. That's how I get my caffeine. All right, I'm making sure I've got this well powdered so nothing sticks where I don't want to, because it's nice and big. I'm going to emboss this with, this is Simon Says Antique Gold. It's kind of just a little more on the bronzy side. I don't know. It kind of sounded fun, and a little variety from just gold or gold pearl like we do a lot. So I like to mix it up every once in a while and do something different. So we're going to ink this up. I did realize that Leah did a background, one of those larger background stamp and stencil combos last week too. So hadn't really realized how similar. I think we're just having so much fun going back through our older sets with the new ink colors and kind of giving new life to them, because it feels like all of a sudden these old familiar sets are brand new. All right, and of course, this is a very big background stamp. And so I'm going to stamp this for sure multiple times, because I want to make sure I got everything covered, because there's a lot of area there. So making sure I got ink on all of it. And I made sure and used my powder tool really well. So I also want to make sure I have plenty of ink to stick on there. Ooh, orange spice tea, Deborah. I love my favorite tea that I drink nearly every day. There's rare occasions where I don't, but pretty much every day. It's Harney and Sons hot cinnamon spice, and it has a little bit of orange in there too. And it's so yummy and spicy and warm, and it makes amazing iced tea in the summertime. So I drink it hot in the winter. And then when I want iced tea in the summer, that's often what I do. Okay, that's looking like a pretty good impression, honestly. But you know what? We're just going to do one more just for good measure, because then we'll make sure we've got it really well covered. Lemon ginger tea, that's a good choice too. Okay, that is good. We've got a really beautiful image on there. I know you guys can't see it. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure it doesn't show up at all. But believe me, it's beautiful and it's well covered. So I can actually see it really well. All right, we're gonna have to do this a few times and dump it back in because this is a really big stamp set. So we're just gonna kind of go for it and get as much as we can. Actually, maybe I'll get further than I think I will. Sprinkle it on and shake it off. I can see the one tiny spot that I probably didn't quite apply even pressure, but I don't think even that'll be very noticeable. And it was also because I had extra cardstock in the middle of my piece. So I was lazy and didn't cut other bigger ones. So that's probably pretty much my fault. All right, very slow and very careful. I'm notorious for making a mess with embossing powder and I hate it. Don't like it all over my desk at all. I'm going to quickly just wipe any extra embossing powder off. And then I'm going to pull out my heat gun and it's going to mute me for a minute. And then we'll get that all heat embossed. All right, I think I got everything. I was trying to kind of tip it around and look for any little missing spots. All right, Deb, I just saw your question about the heat gun tool. I use a Wow. It's like the two heat options. I know, right, Leah? I mean, even just as a background like that, without adding the color, it's stunning. I love all that detail. Okay, hold on. I gotta see. I saw a bunch of questions or a bunch of comments slide by and I missed some of them. Okay, a lot of talk about tea. Oh, I heard someone cardamom and spice. That sounds amazing. I would drink that. Constant comment. I love that one. Sweet and spicy. I feel like that's the decaf version of the same. Okay, I'm not going to read all those comments now. I'll catch those up later, but I'm going to have to make notes for new teas. Okay, we've got this all ready. So let's go ahead and pull out our layering stencils. I'm also going to pull out my paint stand there. And we'll just go ahead and start. I'm a little bit going to follow kind of the inspiration on the back of this to go through my colors. So I'm going to keep that kind of in view. I feel like that's a great start sometimes for when you're choosing colors, just to look on there and kind of see what works and what you want to do. So we're just going to start lining this up with that stamped image there. And because I made my cardstock a little extra large, it gives me a perfect spot to tape at the top and bottom. And it just goes in place perfect. Sorry for the glare from my light up there. We'll try and I guess I can move it down a little bit. I don't know if that helps or not. Okay. So we're going to start with Cherry Blossom, which is the lightest of the new ink family. And I'm going to just go for a really as soft an effect as I can get there, just blending out from the base and actually leaving, trying to kind of leave some color open at the top or just barely a hint of color there. I think that's really going to give a pretty effect with this ink color in particular. And the heat embossing, because it adds that little bit of depth and pooling that you're going to get on those certain areas. One of my favorite things to do with heat embossing is ink blending like that. And with my almost clean brush just to hit the top of those areas. Just checking each one as I go to make sure I'm in the right spot at the base of the flowers. And now the ones that are a little more tightly closed, I like to do a little bit deeper on the color. And the reason for that is I think about like a flower bud or something like that. I always feel like it's going to be a little deeper in color than the more fully open. Those tend to kind of get a little softer and paler. So the deepest color is going to be on the ones that are a little more closed, at least for me. And then keep the color softer on the others. All right, I'm feeling pretty good about that. Let's clean this off and see what we have. Ready for that first magic reveal? Oh my goodness. I think if we added nothing else, that's already beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay, let's keep moving on. So we're going to take that next stencil layer, which is going to continue on in our pink family. Only instead of just going to the next pink tone, I decided to skip up one. So instead of peony, I'm moving up to Begonia. So I'm going to switch to my darker shade of brushes. Right there. And then we'll start, and again, this is a nice deep color. I'm going to clean my brush off a little because I suddenly can't remember if I used that for the deepest one recently or not. Jane, that first color was Cherry Blossom, and then the second one I'm using here is Begonia, which skips over Peony, would have been the second deepest in this new color family. Okay, we're going to just gently dab off a good bit of color so that when we come in, we're coming in as soft as we can. I just wanted that darker tone. I don't want to make it too dark there. And I like all the open area on the stencils here because I feel like I can really easily kind of, you might have seen, I kind of dabbed some of the ink off in an area where I don't have an open area on the stencil. So it gave me the opportunity to kind of get that ink off, but still put it to use on another spot, if that makes sense. Okay. Lost a bit of ink there and into that area there. Okay, I think that covered everything on that brush candy. I'm going to leave that there for a minute while we clean this off. Okay, there's that second reveal. Oh my goodness. It looks so elegant and so pretty. All right, we're just going to carry right on and do the next color here on these flowers. It's going to be the deepest tone, so I'm sticking with that dark color. The only thing I'm a little undecided on, let's see. Is this the darkest tone? I think it is. Oh, no, this isn't. I'm glad I looked at the, so this isn't quite the darkest tone yet. This is that yellow on the sample. So take that back. We're not going to do that color. We're switching. This one I'm going to do a little bit of two-tone blending. I'm going to do Mimosa, but I'm also going to pull out the previously released. I'll do that in a minute. We're going to add a little bit of sweet mustard at the base. So we're going to start with that Mimosa and get that in there first. But I thought a little bit of that yellow just to kind of warm it up might be kind of fun. So we'll see how it goes and see what we think as we go along. Oops, get my lid off there. Okay, definitely taking some of that ink off on this because again, I want to keep that nice soft tone to this one. So I'm doing the same as I did on that last one with the almost going to only need one little. Leah and I have both been laughing at how we didn't even realize how much our old inks needed a good re-inking. Because so I kind of actually did a little bit of a spa day the other day on my other ones, just a dab. Okay, make sure I've got all of that color on everything. The deepest is at the base. And then let's pull out, let's see what happens when we mix in a little bit of that yellow. You know, Mimosa, it's just like the name of it even is super duper fun. Okay, let's switch a little bit in with the yellow. Sweet mustard. So again, I want to go pretty sparing on this. I just want to warm up those tones a little bit and see what happens. And I think it's going to be really lovely. I don't know if it's going to be super, oh my goodness. So it kind of looks like a little bit like a sunset there all of a sudden now. I've got Hawaii on my mind. I'm getting ready. So next week I will be gone. We're going to have Leah for that because she's going to be covering everything because I will be doing a girls' trip to Hawaii with my daughters and a good friend and looking forward to that. Okay. All right, let's see what we think. Let's see what that yellow and mimosa together looks like, shall we? Do a quick little cursory cleaning there. Pull off those stencils. Yeah, I kind of like that. I'm not going to lie there. Let me hold that up a little so you can see. That just warmed it up so much and added such a pretty effect. Okay, now I'm pretty sure this is going to be, yes, this now is that final layer of the deepest tones. So just a few little areas on this one. It's kind of the less heavily covered area because it's really that accent piece. So. The casual, there was nothing casual about that, Joan. I'm super excited. I haven't really taken a super full vacation in a while. Little short things and quick trips and stuff, but this is going to be a little more of a full-on unplugging and time with my family. Okay. And this one, I'm not worrying as much about the whole depth, getting the depth in the different areas on the shading a little bit, but I want to make sure because this is kind of that deep accent piece. I don't want to be too soft on the color on this one. I want to make sure there's full color on there for contrast and everything, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to still come in and make sure it's a little extra super dark at the base of them. I'm just not blending out quite as soft and faded as I did on some of the others. There's really only a couple areas where it matters that much. All right. Definitely clean all these stencils later with our favorite technique of rubbing alcohol. Especially on that deep pink, it's gonna clean that off really well. Ta-da! Look at how much that little bit of contrast just makes that pop. All right, now we're gonna get a little fun with some mixing of colors again. So we're gonna move on to the greenery now on this one. And I've been wanting to mix together. So I might just pull out another stand real quick there. I have two for times with this when I need more than one color. Move that a little bit out of the way. Whoops, as I throw things around, I want to mix some turquoise and emerald city. I just have a feeling that that's going to be a pretty combination. So we're going to go for it and give it a try. I feel like that's going to kind of brighten this up in a way as well. So now I think what I want to do, you know what, I'm actually going to switch that. I think we're going to do green at the base of all of the greenery and then hit the turquoise on the outer edges. So all right, so here we go, coming in with a little bit of Emerald City. And this one, I'm very intentionally only hitting the base of these leaves. And I'm coming in pretty rich and deep with the color because I want to blend out the turquoise on the outer edges. So it'll kind of hit and blend in the center. We're gonna see how that one got a little dark. That's okay. So quiet as I'm just focusing on making sure I'm finding all the right areas to blend into so I don't blend into the wrong spot. I want to keep it consistent enough to focus on those base areas of the flowers. I'm just slowly working my way around. Sorry, I'm getting kind of quiet. Hopefully everyone's just enjoying watching the ink blending happen. I feel like it's, even though I'm the one doing it, it's still kind of mesmerizing just watching that color kind of appear on there. All right, let's see, that one's gonna be that area. Kind of checking out the pattern underneath to make sure I'm hitting the right spots of the blend in there. So I'm hitting the base of the almost done, and then we'll break out that turquoise and hit. All right, I think that hit everything that we needed to. So I'm gonna clean this off a little bit better so that I don't mix in the green with my turquoise. I don't want to mingle those too much. Okay, are we ready for it? Are we ready to commit and do this? Let's see how it goes. Oh, okay. We'll have to wait till the full reveal, but I already think it's gonna be amazing. I love, can you guys just see, it looks like tropical water. I don't know how else to describe that. It's just a beautiful blend. Just like I was hoping it would be. So I love when it works like you kind of hope. It's a little bit of that scary, like, well, if it doesn't work, we're already committed. So it's what we're doing. This one's a little bit quicker to blend because I'm not trying to pay attention to where I'm blending each part. So if you're noticing that it seems to be coming together quicker, you're not wrong. Okay. Who's ready to see how this one came out? All right. We've only got one layer left, so we're almost done. I am loving that. That was everything I hoped it would be. So, so pretty. All right, so we only have that last layer, which is pretty much just some stems, essentially. It's kind of filling in that little bit. So my plan on that one is not necessarily trying to blend two colors, because I think that'll be a little crazy. But I think this will be a good one for that lush forest. How do I decide what color combo on foliage? You know what? I have my swatches, I pull out my inks, and I just kind of start randomly picking colors. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. It seems like there should be, but really it's just the luck of the draw. And sometimes it works really well, and sometimes I'm like, well, maybe that wasn't the best, most shining moment, but okay. I'm going in pretty deep on this because it's the greenery, not the greenery, it's the stems. So it's kind of a focal point that I just want to really pop and sing. So it's kind of like that deepest area on the flowers. Ooh. A little tickle in my nose there. I was going to sneeze for a minute. Okay, and I love how that lush forest, it almost has like almost leaning towards that aqua tone a bit, like the really deep aqua tone, like Tidal Pond, which then makes me go, I bet this one would be a really good one to mix and match with that. Yeah, Karen, it's whatever suits the mood. And sometimes it's just, I mean, the new ink colors have really, I feel like, opened up all kinds of new possibilities. So I feel like I'm always just spinning with ideas. All right, the final reveal. Are we ready? And I said that, but then I'm like, am I? Yeah, that is Stencil one. Yep, I just had it stacked funny, but there we go. How beautiful is that? I'm super happy with how that came out. So, all right, and yes, someone said I must have had Hawaii on my mind with that color combo. You know, I think unconsciously there is some of that that probably happened. I didn't really think about that, but that definitely fits that. All right, I'm just going to start by, first things first, we're going to trim this down a little bit, just right to the edge of the design. And then we can go from there to trim it down to fit the rest of our card plans. Just lining it up in my paper trimmer so I get it perfectly aligned. All right, and the final one. There we go. I even noticed I swung a tiny bit wide on that, but so now we've got that perfect panel. And I'm going to go ahead. I think I'm just going to make sure I've got that right. Pretty sure that's in half. I'm not entirely sure on this paper trimmer. 3 is right in the middle, and I don't want to cut it wrong. So I'm going to pull this one out that has that 3 a little more clear so that I can feel a little more confident of that. So now I've got that scary moment where you kind of don't want to trim it down, but it's too big anyway. But now I've got these 2 beautiful panels that are going to be perfect. It's so many Slimline cards. So I have some other things prepared a little bit. And this is where I don't know if I'll finish both of these cards, but I cut out 2 little frames. These were cut with the mini Slimline frame die. And then I have some white card bases and also a cream colored one. I'm kind of debating on which frame I want to use. Actually, that kind of That works. Even this actually even works too. I might end up doing both of them. They'll just have a slightly different look. I feel like that one, you know what, that one almost needs to be on a pink background. So I might have to put together one quick card base. Got some soft pink that'll go, and I think that might be the color I'm looking for. Yep. All right. Bear with me just a second here. I'm going to trim this down to create. I didn't create this in advance, so you're going to get to watch me make a card base. So we're going to trim this panel of pink cardstock down to 6 1/4 by, the finish is going to be 6 1/4 by 3 1/4. So to get that 3 1/4, I need 6 1/2. Set that off to the side there. Grab my scoreboard. We'll just quickly trim, or not trim, we already trimmed it. We're going to score it right at 3 1/4. Didn't take too long, so it was worth the effort there, right? I know, I love a 2-for-1 design. I think that that's such a fun way to do it. Okay, and yes, that is just what we want. So we'll have 2 just slightly different looks on these. So I'm going to trim this down just ever so slightly. We don't want it to poke out from around that frame. So we're going to take just a smidge off of a couple of sides, which is fine because there's a tiny bit, I trimmed it actually a tiny bit wide. So let's see if that's going to fit behind there. And that is actually perfect. It only leaves a tiny bit on the corner. So I'll just trim that out of the corner so it doesn't show. So we'll do the same on this one as well. Tiny little trim. I'll put a side there. And a little one off of a little edge there too. Okay. Nice and easy. And that should fit that one perfectly as well. I know I can't decide which frame I like better. I kind of like both of them. So I'm kind of glad I did both options, and now I can choose which one I prefer. All right, time for some foam adhesive strips behind these. We gotta have a little bit of dimension. Mini Slimline Sherry W. Mini Slimlines are like the cutest thing ever. I remember when we first started making them, it was like Slimlines were fun, but mini Slimlines are just, they're just adorable. There's no other way to say that. So it's the perfect little size. It's just a little bit unique and different compared to your typical A2, but it's not as big as a full-size Slimline that sometimes can be a little daunting, that larger size. I really love it. The dimension of a smidge, I just saw Leah's answer. It's like the smallest amount you can cut off with your paper trimmer without messing anything up. How's that? That's my theory anyway. Right. Gonna get both of these kind of lined up and ready to go for perhaps there. Then we just need to add a sentiment, of course. And I kind of have a plan for that. And then remember that surprise I mentioned, the little tiny sneak peek of our October release? I wonder if anyone has any guesses by now of what that might be. Considering how far we've come on this card, that might start to narrow it down. Catherine, the mini Slimline mail's great. You can just buy envelopes, and I don't think it takes any I'm pretty sure it doesn't take any extra postage. I'm not really sure. There we go. Leah just answered that question better than me. All right. So I'm going to start by adhering those frames directly onto those panels. I feel like that's the best start on that. Okay, someone said glitter paper. Nope, not glitter paper. This is just some of my old stash of glitter paper currently. I got a few guesses for the glitter paper, but nope, not on this one. I actually haven't pulled out what it's going to be yet. So I'm going to pop this on from, excuse my head getting in the way there, because I want to just make sure I get that lined up. And then remember I mentioned those little corners that pop through. I'm just going to trim those out. So it's a little tiny thing that probably doesn't matter, but it bugs me. So I will be happier with it if I take that out. All right. Amy Moore might be on to something, and Lori and Cynthia. Okay. Everyone's starting to kind of guess along the right lines. All right, so that one's ready to go. Let's get this one ready. It looks like we're still doing really good for time. I was not sure with all of the stencil layers on this and making 2 cards if that would be realistic, but it looks like we are going to be just fine. So yes, I think a few people have kind of guessed the direction it's going. So I'll pull that part out here in just a minute. Okay. Get that on there, and then I'm going to do that same thing and cut those little corner pieces out there. All right. Teresa, sometimes I'm fast, sometimes I'm not. This was one of the good days. All right, let's get that adhered onto these, and then we can start thinking about sentiments and bling. So I will tell you the new, the sneak peek is not related to the sentiment. So I can clear that secret up, and that'll probably kind of narrow down the guesses that were right. Let's get that one on there. All right. Oh, I love both of those. And I love that they're just slightly different, but you get like this one, I feel like with that cream colored card base, you just kind of get a super simple, elegant, and then this adding the lighter frame and the pink kind of is a little more of a playful design. I know they really don't need much embellishment. Mom full of joy, as she said. Okay, sentiments we're going to add with just a previously released set here. The best thing. And I'm going to keep those pretty simple. I kind of like that one right there is perfect. I hope your day is beautiful. And I think I like that. Your smile makes me happy. I think those 2 are the perfect sentiments. Going with the gems then. Allison, you might be right on that one. All right, I'll pull out the dies. So as I'm stamping these out and getting these ready, I'm going to take this moment as a bit of a shameless plug for our next craft along class for October. We're going to be doing that here at the end of this month. The registration is open for it now. It's a fun time with Leah and I both crafting, and we've done 2 different bundles this time. So this best thing set is what I'm going to be using for my card that I'm making for that. And then Leah has the lovely blooms that she's going to be using. And there's a chance to get both of those at a bundle discounted price there. So it's something you can check out if you want. All right, I'm going to get these stamped out real quick first. I'm just doing detail black. I debated on heat embossing, but I think a good crisp black sentiment is going to make these pop better. But the craft along, if you don't want to purchase the items or you don't already have them, it's also, we provide some options, and we do it's a lot like these lives, but we're all on a private Zoom call together, and you can chime in and talk. We can see your faces if you want. If you have any questions or anything you wonder about, it's a great time to be able to ask those. And we love being able to kind of connect with you a little bit more. When in these lives, we see you in the chat, and there's still a chat option if you prefer that, but it's a little more tailored and close. It's in an evening, which I know is nice for a lot of people's schedules. We just have a really good time. And Leah, I see, just put a link there. So we would love, if you haven't signed up or have been thinking about it, it's definitely a very, we really aim to keep it as a very affordable event so that it's easier for more people to join and play along. Cynthia, that's an awesome butterfly and the gazebo die. I think that's a great choice. I think that might have been one of the options we listed, and we're always surprised as we get to each one that sometimes those crafting along with us have even come up with other ideas that we didn't think of for options to use. All right, of course, we're going to cut these out with the coordinating die. Something I should have done in advance that I'm now realizing. It's okay. I should have cut out a few extra of these, but we're just going to go with it the way it is. And I can always cut those out. We've got enough time, I think, that. Make sure I've got that one lined up well. I can fit this on my little one instead of running it. Yep. Through my big die machine. There's one. There's the other. Pop all those little spare pieces out. And then I do think I'm going to take a second and cut. You know what? Actually, I can just use my little foam tape and it'll be fine. Then we don't. It's still going to take a minute, but it's probably less boring than die cutting over and over, right? All right. Let's get these on here and then we'll pull out that final element. Pop that one on there. That one up there. Where did I put there? Let's just use our little foam strips on there to get that popped up. There's enough places to fit it on there just fine. It needs a little trim. Foam is good, you just don't necessarily want it to show. Wendy, you know what? That would be a great idea to do like a gatefold. That's a great thinking there. I like it. Just because I want to make sure it's stable, I'm going to make sure I have. There we go. All right, this one's pretty easy too. So a little bit smaller. So if you don't want to fiddle with small pieces of foam, you can definitely just cut out multiple and glue them together, and that would work just fine on this as well. All right. Make sure I've got that on there square. And then we'll do the same. This one's a little bit easier because it's too big. So I'm just going to do one bigger piece of foam. So I just used a few of those kind of together to make sure I had that well. And then use those little scraps to tuck around the other areas. There we go. No waste. I think I missed a question about some other. We also, I forgot to mention for those craft alongs, we also do some fun giveaways too. So want to throw that out there as well. All right, this one I chose to tuck down here because I didn't want to cover up any of that flower up there. So it kind of nestles down here in a good little spot there in the leaves. So just in case you were wondering why I picked that spot, I kind of wanted to alternate so they had a little different design. Okay, are you ready for the sneak peek? I am gonna draw out that suspense a tiny bit more because this one's popping open really hard and I want it to stay flat while I put my fine embellishments on. So we're just gonna have these closed real quick. I can pull those out later, but so part of our October release, which is pretty close to the end of the month. So this is kind of an early sneak peek. You hear that sound? That is the sound of new embellishments. Oops, and there's one peeking on. So quick little look here. These are all clear drops in different colors. If you were part of our most recent Create and Connect event, you got these ones in that clear color, the ice. And then we're adding a bunch of other colors. And I am gonna just pull out. I'm thinking that that green might be good. The pink maybe, I don't know. And then that champagne tone, I'm really liking the idea of that one. The turquoise might work as well. So we're just gonna pull out a few. Also that amber tone. All right, that should be all of the options that'll work for this. So we're just gonna kind of look at some of these and decide which one we want to use. So many pretty choices. I mean, that champagne is kind of hard to go wrong, but I do love that deep green tone as well. I think the pink I'm going to opt for no, just because there's enough pink on there. And also the turquoise, I think it just blends in too much with the green. So I'm going to lean between either like maybe on this one, we'll go with the more neutral, like the champagne one. And maybe this one will do some trios of those three colors. What do we think? I think I like that idea. So we will pull out just a few of these nice neutral tones here. We'll get those, oops, wrong side of that. I'm going to opt for some little, that actually blends really well with the color of our heat embossing as well. Some little trios here on this one. Around our sentiment. Did I not? Okay, I need more of the little bitties. But yes, we are very excited to start putting these to use because we all love the bling. And more options is just more fun. Okay, I'm liking that, I think. We can glue that down in a minute. We'll just leave it there for now. Let me put that away. Then, so I'm going to swap places because I'll glue them all down at once. But for now, we're going to need a couple more. So a little bit of that one's Emerald City. This one is called Amber. Oops, I overshot a little bit there, but not too bad, thankfully. And then a little bit of that clear ice color. These are rounded. They're a lot like our pearls, but they're iridescent and clear with, you can kind of see the back of them is shiny. So they give a great little bit of reflection on there, which is kind of fun. Ah, I did it again. I even have them marked so I'll know which end and I'm just not paying attention. All right. Start there with one of those. Maybe add one of those and then maybe a bit of green. Actually, you know what? I'm going to swap those. Might use those up there, but let's use the slightly bigger. And I'm going to swap that one down. There's 4 different sizes, so I'm wanting to choose which sizes I want to nestle in there. And then, as I'm thinking about that, we'll probably move up a little bit. I might use the bigger one of that. And then maybe that and a smaller green. Let's ponder that. Oh, just got to get a hold of one of those. There we go. Those little bitty greens. I like that. I think that's going to work perfectly. Little trio in different colors. Ah, and I think a lot of people have been waiting for that brass triangle tray to come back in stock, and it is. I didn't even know that, so. Those away before I knock them and fill them, and then I'll just glue these down. We've got 3 minutes to go, so I think we're gonna wind this down at the perfect time. Love when it works like that. And this is where I get quiet as I make sure I have these adhered down where I wanted them to go. And it doesn't slide in the glue. All right, and then we'll do our final, stick this one down as well. Right, and that finishes these off. Okay, clean that off a little bit. A little bit on this. I know the champagne, I can already tell, is going to be a clear favorite. So let me pull that up. And with that glitter paper and the heat embossing, those are just so sparkly and pretty on there. And then this, I really do love, like that fun little mix of the colors in the background on this. We did it. We made it right in time with 2 minutes to spare. So enough time. I'm going to switch my camera around and let Leah pick a winner. And then we'll go ahead and let you guys go for the day. And I will see you guys in a couple weeks. But Leah will be back next week with live, and then no scrapbooking live this week. I'm pretty sure. I think it's next week, because I'm pretty sure we just had that last week. So this will be our only live for this week. And then you'll have Leah next week for live. And then I believe the one after that, it'll be the day after I get back. So I might be a bit jet lagged, but Leah and I are going to combine and do a live together. So I love hearing everyone's favorite. And I'm glad it worked for the 2 cards. I wasn't sure if I was just going to finish one and then I have to die cut another frame, because I wasn't sure which color frame. Teresa, it's towards the end of the month. I'm not going to give you an exact date, because I've learned a long time ago that those sometimes get taken out of our hands, but it's towards the end of the month. So just kind of keep an eye out. We'll be talking about sneak peeks a little bit here soon. Probably when I'm gone on vacation, there'll be a little more of an exact date kind of put out there, but towards the end of the month. So I know this was a little bit of an early sneak peek, but I figured nobody would mind that much, and it gave you a little time to know what was coming and be prepared. Thank you, everyone, for the vacation wishes. I'm looking forward to it. All right, and then congratulations to J. Claire Karpenko, if I said your name right. If I didn't, I apologize. You are today's $15 gift card winner. So email Leah at Pinkfresh Studio. Her name is Lea, no H on the end of it. Give her 2 to 3 business days to get back to you and have some fun shopping. So thank you, everyone who joined us today. Thank you for all the vacation wishes. Yes. All right. I think that covers everything, and we are right on time. So I'm going to let you all go, get back to your day. I know it's probably not as fun as this, but I know we all probably have things to do. So thank you again for joining me. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you again in a couple weeks.